What's up, guys? Forgot the mic. What's up, guys? It is Rick Ginn, and today we're talking all about how to get any type of price reduction in your wholesaling business. So nobody writes a perfect contract 100% of the time. I've been doing this 20 plus years. I'm telling you, at some point, you're going to have to figure out how to get a price reduction. And there is not a scenario I have not been part of that I haven't had to deal with this before. So if you guys look behind me, I got a guest with me today. I am babysitting our family baby. So don't mind him. He tends to wander around. Hey, Sebastian, get over here. Come here, sit. So this is my longtime puppy. I've had him since the kids were little, and he needs a babysitter. So I was in charge of him. So I brought him in the studio today. So if you see a dog walking around, and you guys are always like, what's that dog barking? We love dogs in our family, but sometimes they misbehave. So that's the whole part of a live stream, right? Yes. So you guys know how this works. You guys have the live stream. So use the comments that are on your right-hand section. Just go ahead and put in, if you have a question about wholesaling, that's the place to do it. Also do it to introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. You might find a friend in there or somebody in your market that can help you out. If you're going to do business with them, make sure you vet them, because not everybody. Okay, hold on. Let me just double check one thing on my settings. Test, test, test. Okay, I had a little microphone problem. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay, awesome. So use the comment section on the right-hand side, and then at the top comment on the tippy top, I put in the live stream link for you. I make it super easy on my channel because my channels are relatively newer, so you don't have to jump through as many hoops. Just click on that link, get in line. It's first come, first serve. So today we are talking all about sellers and how to deal with price reductions. And so many people do not teach this. And I promise you, if you're in wholesaling, eventually you will have to deal with a price reduction. And just to let you know, we deal with it on a weekly basis. I'd like to tell you I do 1 or 2 a year, but honestly, we do like 1 or 2 a week. Why? Because stuff comes up in properties. People don't always tell the truth. And that's how business works. So when you find stuff out, you have to reduce the price, or sometimes we actually even have to increase our price. But I want to show you how to do it. So what I'll do is take about 20, 30 minutes, go through and explain it to you. And then whatever time I have left after that, I do all Q&As and answers. So before we get started, guys, if you have never, like, what the heck are these guys talking about? We teach this whole business for free. We're the only people that 100% transparently teach wholesaling, and we don't charge you guys a dime. Why? Wholesaling is really a basic skill set to get you into real estate investing, but somehow gurus have decided you have to pay the ultimate price, 5, 10, 15. I've seen them as high as $30,000. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to pay that. It's actually ridiculous. So in today's modern society, why not just go over to freewholesaling.com? We'll teach you how to do the whole thing for free. And okay, I got it. So go over to freewholesaling.com if you haven't started you're looking to get your first deal. Make sure you put your comments in there. Make sure you smash that like button. It helps people just like you and me find our channel. And most importantly, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because on this channel, when you get a notification, you find out when I release new videos. And I only do private types of videos on my channel, which are a little bit different. So yes, I have my dog walking around the back. His name is Sebastian. Hey, come here. We had a conflict of events today, and this old timer can't be left alone because he sometimes gets in trouble. So if you guys are okay with a dog, I love dogs. So this is life, man. Nothing can stop you from doing wholesaling. So make sure you understand that. So let's get into it. I see you guys comments on everything. Oh my gosh. You start with this one right here. Aria, I know if you want a mentorship is 38 grand for the year. Guys, don't ever do that, man. I'm just telling you, it's going to be a disaster. You do not need to pay 38 grand to learn wholesaling. Like, end of story. So let's jump into it. Let's see here. Okay. So we're talking about price reduction. So I want to walk you through, and I'm going to break this down. So I'm going to give you 5 ways to get any type of price reduction, but we have to qualify what type of reduction it needs. So you see, he's banging on the door right now. Hey, get over here. Sit. So welcome to my world. A price reduction. You have to classify it. What type of seller are you dealing with? That is the first thing we have to address. So in my opinion, there's basically 2 types of sellers in their business. And here's how I classify them. And if you guys don't believe me, you'll believe me now. Sit down. Sit. 2 types of sellers. Number 1, easy sellers. Easy sellers, we do not ask for reductions for, because they get it done right. They make your life easy. There's a reason we call them an easy seller. And for this reason alone, you've got to leave them alone. So if somebody gives you an incredible price, then you have to just leave them alone. So many people in this business feel like, oh, I'm going to give it. They like, somebody coined it the haircut. And I'm here to tell you, you get a little lady that gives you a phenomenal price, leave her alone. Just take care of her, do exactly what you're going to say, and move on with your life. When you guys try to get these, like, that's when greed just takes over this business, and I hate it. When somebody makes your life super, super easy and you don't have to change anything, run with it, okay? If you attack a seller like this, you do not belong in wholesaling, because yes, you can get a reduction, but I promise you, eventually it will catch up to you. The family's going to come after you. All sorts of bad things happen. And honestly, you got to treat people just like you treat your own family. And if you don't treat your family right, you got to fix that. So the other type is basically the hard seller. And these are the people that drive us nuts. Now, a hard seller just pushes you. Like, they're going to tell you things are good with the house when they're obviously bad. Unfortunately, if you want to buy this property and you think you have a shot at making it a wholesale deal, you're going to have to play the game. Now, I don't play the game like realtors do. I do. We're not even talking about that, and I'm going to break it down. So the first thing we have to do is you have to assess your seller's motivation. And if you guys don't know how to do this, go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you from the basics, MCTP, on how to qualify all customers. I'm here to tell you, most people that write a bad contract and need a reduction, most of the time you guys are dealing with non-motivated sellers. They belong with realtors. They need to be listed on MLS, and there's nothing we can do. Getting a slight discount off of a retail deal is not wholesaling. It's not even close. And I know every guru in America is trying to sell you a course on gurus. And I'm here to tell you, you do not want, you can make money doing it, but I'm just telling you, it is hard. And I get deals off MLS, but they're all off market, and they're all bought to me by realtors that I do work with. So hold on 1 second, guys. Hey. Okay. I'm going to let them roam the rest of the office, see what happens, because God only knows. I can't do 2 things at once. So, okay. So you have to assess their needs. So, Rick, what do I need by assessing their needs? That's real simple. The easiest way, especially if you're a beginner and you want to figure out what type of seller you have, is it easy or hard? Real simple. Wants versus needs. We only focus on people that need to sell their house. The people that want to sell their house, 9 times out of 10, they need to go to a realtor. Now, the only exception to this is when the house is motivated. And when the house is motivated, means that the house is completely run down and the seller's a little bit unreasonable, then I will play the game with them. If the house is in perfect shape and the seller's not motivated, walk away. You have no business being there. It has nothing to do with wholesaling unless you want to buy a house for retail and pay a ton of money and get a bank loan. Walk away from these people and you'll end a lot of your frustrations. I'm telling you guys, you have to understand. So now we know the 2 types of sellers. Once we break down the sellers, I'm going to give you 3 basic things that you have to do to get any type of reduction, or how to avoid getting the reduction in the first place. So I'm going to just give you the foundation of it. Number 1, you've got to simplify your language. Most of you are like trying to be super advanced and like super cool, and you're talking in terms way above your head. Even newbies, I see this all the time. Now, as I got 10 years in this business, I talked over everybody's head and I had to dumb it down. And I'm telling you, simplify your language. If you're using big, intimidating words and people have to like look you up in like a dictionary, a thesaurus, you don't understand. So how do we simplify your language? Well, there's 2 simple ways to do it, and it works every time. Number 1, lose your ego. Just get rid of it. Your ego is there to make sure you're always right at any cost. And if you understand that, we're all built into it. It's built in our subconscious, and our ego is just the problem with the ego. It gives you that short-term gratification we all so crave. But the problem is it screws you in the long run, because you don't get an honest assessment of what's going on in your business with your sellers. And when you do this, you are completely stuck. So I get into it all the time with people with big egos, and I have to play with them. And you know how I play with them? I just work around them and I compliment them. I give their ego what they want, and then I ask for what I want. And the ego is ridiculous. You have to lose your ego. And the crazy thing about losing your ego is you have to think long-term instead of short-term. And most people in this world cannot do it. So when someone constantly brags and you're sitting there at a party, it's immature, it's extremely short-term, and it's self-fulfilling. It makes them feel good right there in the moment. Most of the stuff they're probably telling you is just erroneous. So understand, if your friends do it and your family does it, sellers are going to do it too. You can't do it back to them. You have to just lose your ego. You don't have to be right about anything. And even sometimes we just got to let the sellers be right. The second part of this is just, I know this sounds terrible, like it feels wrong to say it, but it's so true. You have to bring your conversation down to a 3rd grade level. You know why? It's not that you're not smart. Like, a lot of you take that argument the wrong way. It's that anybody can understand you regardless of their business background or their personal education or how they were taught from their family or their parents. So a lot of times people with mortgages and amortizations and interest rate, it's scary. So you have to do the opposite. You have to be very simple, and you have to simplify your language. So if you couldn't explain it to a 3rd grader, you probably can't explain it to your sellers any better. It's just the truth. So lose your ego and simplify your language. Bring it down to a 3rd grade level. Number 3 is part of the core of getting any price reduction or avoiding a price reduction. You ready for this? Just go for no. So many of you are trying to get a yes right off the bat. And I'm here to tell you, it's the worst thing you can do. So you guys are all programmed to write contracts like pretty little realtors, which I don't have a problem with a realtor. My wife's a realtor. And you write contracts to try to get the yes. Well, I'm here to tell you, wholesaling is the complete opposite. You write the contracts to get an initial no. Why? Because all negotiations begin when a price is put out on the floor. That's it. And if a price doesn't hit the floor, it's really hard to negotiate. And I've tried it a million times. Either you're going to give the price or the seller's going to get a price. We all know it's advantageous when your seller gives the price. Using the go for no method, which we teach over at freewholesaling.com, allows you to be rejected and expect it right off the bat and give you your LAO. And LAO is the opposite of MAO. So most of you are programmed to go in with your MAO. You need to know what your MAO is. You don't even start close to your MAO because you have no room to negotiate. So if a property's worth $100,000 and I offer you 40 or 50 grand for it, and you go, Rick, are you crazy? I can't do that. A lot of times you'll respond like, I can't go below $68,000. Now you started a negotiation, and guess what? Now I know my range is between 40 and 68,000. Now it's a very narrow window, and now I can negotiate, and I can use my personality and my conversation and the rapport I build to now try to close that gap. If you don't do go for no, I guarantee you're going to have to do so many price reductions, you're going to get sick of it. So the reason I give you go for no, it's not a technique for a price reduction. It's a technique to actually get you the right price right off the bat. And the problem is you got been conditioned to go for yes on an offer. I'm here to condition you on wholesaling. It's the complete opposite. You go for no. Why? Because when you get a counter, you have a negotiation, you narrow the gap, then you use your rapport building skills in your conversation to try to close that gap. So now that we have gotten to that, now we're talking about, okay, Rick, I got the wrong price. So here we are. And this is the really cool part about this. I got the price wrong. What do we do now? So now we know the different types of sellers. We know the basic techniques to really try to avoid this, but sometimes it still happens. And guys, it happens to me all the time. I've been doing this 21 years. I'm telling you, price reductions are part of the business. So don't avoid them. Number two, now we have to, what kind of price reduction we're going to get? Now, there's two types, guys. There's small reductions, and that's going to be 15% or less. Guys, most of your reductions hopefully are like 10 to 15%. And I'm here to tell you that's an easy number to close that gap. So say the seller wants $100,000 for a house. You offered 85 and you're 15% apart. I think that's still doable. It's not a huge gap. Small reductions, 15% or less. The problematic ones are when you just missed it. Like, Rick, I screwed up, man. And it's okay. And if you're in a virtual market, I guarantee this will happen. I guarantee it. Like if it hasn't happened to you, you're not marketing enough. So when you have a big reduction, it's going to be a 20% plus. I know I left a 5% gap because you can go either way with it. But honestly, when the reduction is huge, you have to have a strategy. Because have you ever asked for a huge price reduction and go, hey, listen, can you knock 100 grand off that price? I guarantee your answer is going to be no. So you have to have a different way to attack it. So what I'm going to do right now is teach you the two different methods for a big and a small price reduction. And in my opinion, doing this 20 plus years, it is the best way to ask for a reduction, because if you think it's hard to do the negotiation, in my opinion, a price reduction is much more intimidating and it's even more nerve-wracking. And so if you get the price done right up front, then that's great. And probably 85% of the time you guys will. 10 to 15% of the time you're going to miss. Why? Because we move fast and we try to move properties quickly and we don't always get it right. Why? We don't get perfect comps. I don't want you to do perfect comps, 10 minutes or less. And we write offers based on people's motivation and basic valuation. So now that we're there, let's see here. So you're going to have small reductions or big reductions. So I'm going to give you an example of other one. Let's start with a small one. The easiest one is the repair inspection method. So I get sellers all the time. Actually, what was it? Saturday. I went and looked at a property that I'm attacking on the bigger scale. So I go to look at a commercial property and I had to meet with the broker, and I wasn't supposed to do this, but it was on my schedule. So I go, let me just check it out. Now I've been trying to buy in this building for multiple years. So anyways, I get in there and of course the entire back of the roof, I mean, is completely stained. I mean, bad, horrendous. And I asked the realtor, what's the deal with the roof? And her comment to me was like, don't worry. It's scheduled to have a new roof on it through the property management company. I go, are you sure? Who'd you speak with? So I start writing notes on my phone because I know that's not true. I already know like the place has got a bad roof and there's no funds to fix it. Now it's a $300,000 roof. So anyways, it was a relatively small gap for when I do. So we were about $50,000 apart. Now keep in mind, it's a commercial property. It was like 8%. So here's what I do. I tell you what, I'll write the contract. You're saying the roof's good. And then here's what I'm going to do, though. I'm going to have the roof professionally inspected. And if the roof does not live up to what you say, we're going to have to talk about a price reduction. So all I do is do a preemptive strike. And the really cool part is when you know something, you're number one, when you know something's bad just by looking at it. And number two, you know someone's lying to you. It's really easy to get this reduction. Guys, this is part of like playing the game. Sometimes you have to do. I get sellers all the time. The two biggest things we deal with in Florida, the roof and the air conditioning. So sometimes I remember sitting in a seller's house. I'm sweating in the middle of summer. It's 98 degrees out. I've looked at the AC handler. It's just completely covered in dog hair, dirt, and the outside, the compressor looks like it hasn't been on in years. And they say to me, I just don't want to run the AC. I don't want to waste money right now. So I'll put on there, so that's fine. I'll write the contract. You won't budge. I'm just going to have someone come over and inspect the house. And as long as that AC fires up and it's good to go, we have a deal. I already know between the roof, so the average home past the commercial property, it's not a $300,000 roof. We have anywhere from a $12,000 to $20,000 roof on average here in Florida. And then the AC system's usually around between $5,000 and $8,000, depending on the size of the house. So right off the bat, I already know I've got to get a $20,000 to $25,000 reduction on that. And she's saying, no, it's absolutely good. I'll just write it down. I go, let's play the game. Let's do it. And then when I come back, I'm going to get a third-party report. So someone will hand me a piece of paper. And then what I'll do is go back and meet with the seller and go, listen, I had someone look at it. Or sometimes right there at the inspection, I'll have the person tell them this, this, and this. Now, you guys are all assuming we're doing paid inspections. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do a paid inspection. You can use a contractor. You can use a friend. My suggestion is I would invest some time and money into it because that discount will more than pay for your buddy to go out and look at the property, or if you have to hire an inspector. And who wants to buy a house with like really bad stuff? So my technique here is only to get the reduction. And 9 times out of 10, when you present it in a third-party fashion, someone's report, or you get it from an inspector, they usually get the message and they understand eventually they'll have to negotiate with you. Now, that's for a reasonable difference. So let's talk about a massive difference like the one I was talking about earlier. When you have a huge difference of like 20% or more, so say you have a $200,000 house and you're off like 70 grand. What are your choices? You can ask for a reduction. Let me ask you this. What do you think the odds of getting a reduction when you ask for a $70,000 or $100,000 deduction? You're going to get killed. Like, it's a guaranteed no. And honestly, you're probably going to shut the door on that. So the best way, in my opinion, to handle it, you ready for this? It's the cancellation of contract method. Like what? So make sure you're within your inspection period. And once you're in your inspection period, if you have a massive difference, the seller's being unreasonable and difficult, just say, listen, Kate, where do I send over the cancellation of contract? And just be quiet. Don't say anything. And listen for the reaction. So this is the same technique as going for no. You're looking for a counter. And if they say, hey, listen, send it over and yeah, you can get out of it, just leave it alone. There's nothing you can do or say at that point, and you're not really thinking it through clearly. Now, you can ask, go, listen, would you consider like a different price if we closed faster? Most of the time they won't. What I'm looking for them is when they say, oh, hold on, Rick, wait a minute. I really need you to buy this property. What's the problem? And then I kind of go into it. I go, listen, we're just off on the price. What you told me, it's not even close. And I did some homework. And honestly, I just wrote the wrong number on your contract. And I can't buy it for that. And I think you know it. And I feel bad for even running that contract. So where can I just send over the cancellation? She said, no. What price will work for you? Now, we have a reduction without asking for a reduction. The difference is your seller asked for the reduction. You didn't ask for the reduction. I'm just telling you guys, this works probably 50 to 60% of the time. Now, you still have to finagle and negotiate it, but at least you have a shot, because if you've ever asked for a $70,000 or like $80,000 price reduction, it is usually a guaranteed no. So I want you to understand, like, going into that. But guys, so let's recap here real quick. You have to understand the type of seller you have. And mostly how do you do it is you have to gauge their motivation. The easiest way to do it is understand the difference between I need to sell and I want to sell. Once you have someone that needs to sell, keep moving forward, push forward. Then identify, do I have an easy seller or do I have a hard seller? Easy sellers, like, they're rare. I'm just here to tell you, but like, they're respectful and they honor their agreement. Difficult sellers constantly try to break your agreement, always asking for more, never stop. These people, you have to play the game. The easy sellers, you don't ask for reductions. Honestly, you need to check your pulse if you keep asking people for reductions, because eventually, if you ask for too many reductions, you're going to lose deals. So there is a point of no return on asking for a reduction. So I had somebody on a couple of weeks ago. I ask everyone for a reduction. I go, "You're an idiot. You don't want to do that, guys. I'm just telling you, eventually people want to get out of contracts for you because you don't honor your word." Now, most of the time, these adjustments are maybe 10 to 15% of the contracts. And you got to have a reason for an adjustment. And then basically just simplify your language. Make sure you go for the no. And remember, there's two types of reductions. There's big giant ones, 20% plus, and the small ones are usually 15% or less. I know there's a 5% gray area in there. Call it what you want. And guys, at the end, you have to understand, you are not a salesperson in wholesaling. I will take this to the grave. You do not sell in wholesaling. You guide people through a series of questions and qualifications, and you try to make the best fit for people. You will never, ever talk someone into just selling your house for your magical price. Either it works for them and they're highly confident in you, or it doesn't work. If you think like you can do the used car salesman and sit there and just talk your ear off, I watch people in wholesaling all the time. I'm like, you spent like 4 hours with that guy. You can't convince him to sell it for that. So the harder you chase them, the worse it's going to get. And once you understand that, you can use the repair inspection method or the cancellation of contract method. One's big, one's small, and it makes a huge difference. So, guys, that is it on that. We are going to jump right into questions. And I got everybody in the live here. Let me just catch up on the comments here. Make sure we're all good. What's up, guys? What's up, Kaylin? What's up, Steve? He's working the eviction list. So I got Cali guys on here. I got South Carolina in the house. That's awesome. Olivia's always here. What's up, Jeff? What's up, Jerry? Okay, let's jump into this. So let me see where I'm at here. What's up, Kyle? How you doing?
Hello. How's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Perfect. So I was I got on these 101s with your son like a week ago. He told me to pull the fire damaged property list. I pulled it. I did get one motivated guy. He was like, "Yeah, I really need to sell this." Like actually what he said. It's a really burnt down property. I can show you a photo. Honestly, I just needed some guidance on the deal, just because it's just a little bit of a weird situation. So you can see here the front looks okay. You can see that.
Got it.
And then but the back here you can see it's really damaged. You can kind of see that wood contraption that was burnt down. Can you see that?
Yes and no. I see a lot of debris behind the house, and I see boarded up windows. How long ago did the fire happen?
Wait, what?
How long ago did the fire happen?
It was the 7th of the 8th of July.
Got it. Okay.
Like so, basically, I just called him. I was like, "Hey, what would you be interested in selling?" He was like, "Yeah, I really need to get rid of it." He was like, "I can do 90,000." He was like, "I'll send you my realtor right now," because I already have the papers signed with him. So I was like, "Oh, okay, we have a realtor."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, unfortunately, 90,000 wouldn't work. But I was talking to the realtor, and he the thing is, he was saying it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. Zillow says 1 bed, 1 bath. The thing is, that contraption, I think that's what they were talking about with the other bedroom. It was literally just some it's like the house is brick. They just built some random wooden thing. But the thing is, they got the contractor in there, and they said, "Oh, it's $110,000 repair." So you can imagine $90,000 house, $110,000 repair is kind of weird. So I'm thinking that's what it costs to rebuild the room, right? But I'm not sure, because if you want, and then the selling price, that's around 230. I did the MAO, so I just how much lower do I need than 90? I'm just really confused about this, to be honest. Like,
So
what,
I'm just here to tell you, fire damage, you need a spread
hmm
because it's undetermined what it's going to cost to fix it. You know, how many square feet is it on the what are they?
600, 680,
Yeah, what market we talking about here?
Fresno. Yeah.
680. So I don't know the Fresno market, so I
Mhm.
can't really like give you a guidance on the number. I will just tell you there is a special breed of people that buy fire damage properties, and they do want discounts on it. How did he go about having a real like? Does he have it listed with a realtor? Or?
No, so basically, I called him and he said he was actually about to have it listed. Like, he just signed the papers with him. He was like, it's
Mhm.
gonna be live in like a week, and yeah, he said like on Saturday, this Saturday, it should be listed. So I was just saying like if we could get an offer before, then that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think 90 is going to be too tight. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
Um,
was thinking.
and it's undetermined, and like 9 times out of 10, once a realtor gets in there, it's not good. It
Mhm.
just because realtor always has this dream for what it's going to sell for,
Yeah, yeah.
because all they do is list it, and you can give it a shot. I'm just telling you,
Mhm.
it's just the realtor. So now he's got to pay the realtor. So
Mhm.
he's probably giving her at least 5% minimum.
Yeah.
So 5% is going to go right off the bat. So now he's only going to get like 85, even if he did the 90. And the reality is he needs to be somewhere with like in my opinion, have like a 5 or 6 in front of it. It's a nightmare, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and realtors are not equipped to sell this stuff. So unless
Mhm.
she's a fire damage specialist that has all the reports and repair estimates and all the
Mhm.
stuff from the fire department, most realtors are not geared to sell these types of properties because it comes down to inspections
Yeah.
and understanding it and like it's just it doesn't belong on the MLS, and this is my
Mhm.
argument all the time, but, like, the idea, guys, is you just gotta try to catch them before they get in the realtor's hands, but
Mhm.
here's the good note on this is let me, fix this, I didn't realize this is on the screen, um, is if you can catch people like this before they get that realtor, it would have been a night and day different conversation.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
the the only thing you missed on this, Kyle, was the timing. That's it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If you caught the guy maybe 10, 14 days before this, you probably would have struck a wonderful deal.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
what? It would have been easier. Like, what's a
Yeah.
realtor going to do? Parade people around a burnt down house? I mean, it's only a
Yeah,
600.
exactly.
So, it might not sell very quickly because it's a
Mhm.
complicated sell. So, I wouldn't overly pursue it. And, but the realtor wants their money no matter what. So
Yeah.
even if you pay him 80, 90, she's still going to get a cut of it and he's not going to get it. So, um, she might get tired of it though. Fire damages, they're a pain in the butt to sell in MLS.
Oh, okay.
So
So,
she'll have to see what happens to it, but most likely the realtor is a friend or the person that helped them buy it. And there's not a lot you can do. You just try to say, listen, if you can't sell it quickly, give me a call back. And then usually what I do is let them put it on the market for a week and check back with them. Either they've
mhm.
sold it quickly or it's going to rot on the market.
Yeah.
At 90 grand is probably going to sit for a long time, and they might even list it for more on MLS. Who
Actually, you
knows?
wanna know? They
Yeah.
said that I asked them, I was like, "This made absolutely no sense to me." I was talking to the realtor, and they were like I was like, "Yeah, so unfortunately, like, I need to do less than 90,000." She was like, "No, I ran some comps, which there was, like, no 1 bed, 1 bath comp." So it was, like, super weird
Uh-huh.
to me, and then she was like, "Yeah, we can probably sell it for, like, 115 on market, but if we can get, like, the, if we can get, like, a you to agree with the price with the seller, then we can work that out." But in my head, I'm like, "There's
Yeah.
no way it's you can literally buy, like, there's a 1 bed, 1 bath that was sold to an investor for 130,000. It was like it
Yeah.
was in pretty good condition. So I was like in my head, I'm like,
Like,
this makes absolutely
'cause
no
you're
sense.
looking at probably like a year's worth of work just to even get it back. And
Yeah.
remember, like, so you guys, if you ever dealt with fire damage properties, you have to go through thorough inspections um, with agencies, like for structural everything. It's not easy. So it does take a special buyer to buy these. So, but
Mhm.
I'm telling you, you made the right moves. It's just a timing thing.
No,
You
okay.
caught the guy like 7, 10 days earlier, he probably would have struck a great deal with you.
Yeah.
Like 50,
Unfortunately.
60 grand. Let's just be done. Like, let me tell you, when you have a fire damage property, because keep in mind, most people have this thing called insurance on a house.
Mhm.
The biggest thing they're usually trying to protect is against flood and fire. Those are your biggest events that are going to happen to the typical house in the United States, unless you're in Florida, it's all wind. So he's probably getting an insurance check on top of it too. So just so you know, he's selling it retail on MLS because a realtor convinced him to it. It might have been him, but the realtor. But I'm just like, be nice. I would give it like a week's time and see what happens, and then just communicate to him. And I always secretly ask him, how long did you sign the listing for? And the ones that don't know what they're doing on this property, they'll sign a 6 to 12 month listing with the realtor, which is the worst thing you can possibly do.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, I said, listen, here's the deal, but I would just sign a 30-day agreement and see what happens. After 30 days, you don't get what you want. Why would you pay? Like, I don't want to go around the realtor and stuff like that, but if you contacted him first, and it's ridiculous. Like,
yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't belong on MLS. I think it's going to have a tough journey, but who knows? California, man, I've seen people buy crazier things. So every now and then someone just goes out there and strokes a check, but odds are, I don't think it's going to move very fast, but keep doing what you're doing and just move a little bit faster. And then I'm telling you, if you caught this guy probably a week before this, he probably would have gave you a wonderful deal. But that's how life goes. Either you take action or you don't, and you learn and you move forward. So I don't spend a lot of energy because I just think you're so far apart, and the realtor is always going to be the wedge in this deal. Now, if the realtor gets tired, you could also call the realtor and go, listen, if it doesn't sell, go, listen, I'm going to respect your listing, but if you don't get the traction you need, give me a call, and maybe we can like negotiate something that'll work out for all parties involved. That's all I say to a realtor, and you walk away. Because if he or she lists it and 30 days don't get an offer or nothing, then the owner starts breathing down the realtor's neck. That's what I do with my realtors. Like same thing. I'm like, get me an offer now. I want to get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
And depending on like how much of a pain in the butt it is, then they're like, okay, well, let me call. I had a guy I found, and then unfortunately he or she will take credit for you, and then you kind of go from there. But that's how it goes with fire damage. Like the same thing on code violations, on the water shutoffs. It's the same thing, man, every time. So you just consistently do it. You catch one at the right time. But guys, whenever you hear a realtor is involved, it's usually not a good thing. Now, the difference is when the realtor calls you and go, hey, Rick, remember when you told me you look for houses that need a lot of work? And so I have one for you. I was thinking about putting it on the market. It's so ugly low. I'd rather just sell it. Can you pay me my commission? Those are the deals I do with realtors all day long, guys. Like there's a huge difference. But this one, you contact the owner. He's telling you, hey, list it with a realtor. What's the two things that'll fix this circumstance, Kyle?
Their motivation and the price.
Yeah, it's time and circumstances. That's
it. Time.
And unfortunately, you have to sit back and see what happens and just kind of go from there. So like, don't lose a lot of energy over it. Like you're close, but not quite there. And I'm just being brutally honest with you on it.
Oh, okay.
Make sense?
I see. Yeah. I
I'm
get
excited for you. You were really close. You just kind of missed it. And so just keep in contact and see what happens. But like realtors, like they will never get out of their own way. Like half the time. It's like, so to me, if I was a realtor, I'd say, listen, I'm not even going to list this on MLS. I'm just going to call my cash buyers and I'll get you an offer. Yeah. So I already know the realtor doesn't have a lot of cash buyers. So she's got to go out to the market. He or she's got to go to the market and find them. So, just keep doing what you're doing, man. It works. Just Zach gave you the right instructions. I'd like to tell you get it on the first shot, but it's rare. It's just how it works. So if you consistently keep doing it, eventually you find someone to go. I don't know if you've ever had a property like burned down. It sucks. I've had one. It's a terrible feeling. It's like, I can't make any income off of it. I got to deal with an insurance claim, and then I got to figure out either how to repair it or how to sell it. And 9 times out of 10, when people have a fire burnt property and it's significant, they want to sell it, hands down.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, bud. Anything else?
No, that was it. I really appreciate your help, man.
Okay, man. Keep doing it, man. You're going down the right avenue.
Really appreciate you.
Okay, see you. Okay, let me just check here. You guys are funny. Okay. Dante, you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
I'm great. And you?
Yeah, I'm a little confused about the Super Bowl last night, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was just eating the barbecue from last
I will tell you, man, I got to give credit, man. Rihanna, boy, she was up high last night. I'm like, man, boy,
Oh
I
yeah.
know she had a safety clip, but boy, I'm not a big fan of height, but that was some serious height. Like, I know it was safe. They have every safety precaution, but dude, you're way up there, man. And like it'll mess with your mind when you do stuff like that. I've done some like crazy adventures, but once you get above like 40, 50 feet, man, your mind's like, you could fall at any time and it'll like
Right.
start to play with you. But I got to give it to her, man. I forgot how talented that girl is, but a lot of people are like, oh, it wasn't what I thought it was. And then my so I'm not an Eagles fan, but I just honestly, I think you had the two best teams in the Super Bowl. And I think Kansas City made one or two less mistakes. That's it.
Yeah.
Hurts's turnover was deadly. That
Mhm.
killed the game. And then that stupid pass interference in the end zone. But, I just don't believe you should call holding penalties in the last 2 minutes of a Super Bowl.
Right. Right.
Unless the guy falls down on his face. So we all went through this with the Saints.
Uh-huh.
It was like the opposite. Now we're going to go through this. So I just wish my team was there. I ain't gonna lie to you, dude. Like I'm jealous. I think it's just amazing for you. That is the pinnacle on the face of the earth for like football athletes. So I think it's like really cool. I thought they did it. I thought it was a good game though. I enjoy
Yeah.
football, but I got to give it to Patrick Mahomes, man.
Oh yeah.
God, dude, that guy he's just the guy knows how to win, dude.
Yeah.
He's got the
He makes
potential to do Tom Brady number. He's already been he's been the 5 AFC championships. That's insane. And he's still in
Mhm.
his 20s. Anyways, so I'll talk about football all day.
Yeah,
We have
same.
an entire show how to fix my Dolphins. So I'm hoping they bring Lamar Thomas in, but that's just him and Terrell will it'll be Speed Demon City. So
They won't lose.
I know. What's going on, man? What can I help you out with?
Okay, so I have a contract I just got signed this morning, but he crossed out some of the things on the contract.
Ooh.
So I'm like, and it's a really good deal. Like when I called him up and stuff, it's a probate lead, and he was like, he literally lowballed me. He was like, well, I just want about 60,000, and on Zillow it's already like saying the Zestimate was like 75,000, and I got him all the way down to 55,000.
Okay, so that's good. That's awesome. He used to go for no on you, so it was like a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So what specifically did he attack on the contract?
Let me pull it up real quick. I have it right here.
Because we can like I will tell you, man, the contract picking just drives me nuts.
Right, and he sent it to his attorney, so I think his attorney kind of put something in his ear.
So here's the deal, guys, is this part, like when you get the contract picking, understand if you get a really good deal, don't sit there and fight everything. Like, so when it comes to lawyers and especially contracts, it's 100% ego. It's never like, if you think one lawyer is just master over another, they're not. So I've been doing this 21 years. The amount of times I've had a contract change on like a lawyer, you ready, guys? Thousands of times. No matter how many times I get the contract, they constantly change it. You have to decide what you can tolerate and what you can't. So if you look at it just like a relationship and go, these three things you cannot violate. Like you can't cheat on me, you can't steal from me, and whatever your rules are. And like if you break any one of these two or three, I'm done. You have to do the same thing with the contract. There's just some stuff you go, I can't negotiate. So summarize what they tried to change and let's talk about them.
They took off on the part 2, they took off the loan interest, insurance, and rents, and the security deposit shall be transferred to buyer at closing. And then they crossed out all of 7. The seller agrees that buyer may advertise property and have access during reasonable hours to show property, but he noted on the side only by permission of seller.
Okay. So is the property occupied?
No, it's not.
Yeah. So you understand like this part is there's some stuff like you don't like a lot of people get anxiety when lawyers or sellers change stuff. Sometimes you just got to look at it and go, Number one, do I have a really good deal? If you have a really good deal, work with them. If you
Mhm.
have a marginal or crappy deal, go, listen, no way. I'm not, like, it's your easiest way out. So if the property's vacant, but they're worried about you advertising or doing anything, so what's your plan with the property? Are you going to try to assign it, or like are you doing this locally or virtually?
Locally, but it's because my mom's in the state, so I came here, but I leave tomorrow. So I just came to this town and I pulled the probates like a couple days ago and got to leave, but I
Wow, look at
leave.
that. That's amazing. So I don't think the loan insurance depreciated. So are we talking about, did you do a 2-page contract or did you do a fuller contract?
No, I did your contract, the 2-page.
So our contract's really, really simple.
Right.
Anything else that they try to change?
That's it.
I think that's minor, dude. Like
Okay.
I think your rapport and your ability to work with them can work you around the average. So you just have to ask consent.
Okay.
So a lot of times on probates, just so you guys know, like when I sell them and it's like an out-of-town owner, which is very typical in Florida, is I'll either get so sometimes the owner's missing the key.
Mhm.
And they always tell you they'll mail it. Let me just let you on a little secret. Don't ever wait for it to be mailed because you'll never get it and you probably won't get the contract. Number two, offer them, say, listen, if you can just send me a text and email authorizing me, I'll have an email. I'll cut a key and I'll put one on a lockbox for you. And then I'll mail you one. Now, when you do that, they're like, you do that for me? Yes, it serves two purposes. Number one, they now have access to the house. So if they need to send a contractor by or anything like that, you always have to respect them and let them to give access to their own house. But number two, you have absolute control over who goes in and out of that house, 100%.
Okay.
And I always say, listen, I'm going to make it super convenient for you. Now, the locksmith costs $50 to $75, but it's probably the best investment you can ever make. That means nobody else is ever going to look at that house without your knowledge. Because if you're worried about, like, the homeowner's never really going to access it, it's their house. You have to give them access to it. It's like, you can't do it because it's a crappy move if you keep trying to change the lockbox. And then that way you can go by there with a buyer. And here's what I do with the buyer. So if I had that exact paperwork, here's what I do, Dante. I tell the buyer, go, come on, I'll take you out there, walk around the house. If I know it's vacant, I have them peek through the windows. That's it. And then I go back to it and I go, I tell you what. They go, what do you think? They go, well, I'd like to take a little deeper inside. I go, I'll tell you what. Go ahead. If you want, you discuss the numbers. If they're okay with the numbers, they research it. Go, listen, I'll prepare an assignment, a contract. And if you want, I'll write it out. And then once you sign that, I'll give you, I'll bring you back here and take a quick look at it. That way you're not parading like 30 people through the house. And most probates, you can walk around and, like, good investors are like, yeah, it looks good. If it says what it is on the inside, and they go, listen, I'm fine with that. I'll leave you deposit. I just need a quick look on the inside. Then I'll do that. Okay. If someone gave me carte blanche to advertise it, then I just send everybody on the inside. That's like this. So that's the subtle difference you did with what that lawyer did to that paperwork. Just don't drag anybody inside. And then when you go to take them inside, you've vetted everybody. You've kind of like let them walk the land. They've ran their own comps. And it just comes down to, hey, Dante, I just need to take a look on the inside and I'm good to go.
Okay.
And just go, listen, because you're only probably going to get a few shots to take people in there.
Right.
And so you can try the key method too. It works very well. I do a lot of that in Florida, and I have a agreement with my locksmith for $50, but they ask for something in writing from the owner so they don't get in trouble. But guys, on these older houses you guys deal with, like you can't get access, somebody's out of town, don't do like I used to do and put your shoulder into it, because you're going to be sitting there explaining yourself to a police officer for the next 2 hours. And because the neighbors are thinking you're breaking in the house. So I've been detained 3 times in my career, and I'm not proud of it, but like sometimes we do what we have to do, but trying to explain it to the neighbors and the police, it's like, make sure you have documentation to cover your butt, because I've had some wild stuff happen to me. Ready for this, Dante? I once had a seller for 3 months. I was moving the gentleman to an assisted living facility, and he had no family. And so every Monday I talk to him. Well, we got like, I just become friends with sellers. I know that sounds odd, but I do. And so every month, so the guy was so cheap. He had like a big giant house and he put a little AC in his back room. And so he didn't answer his door. I thought it was odd. He always answered his email. He stopped answering that. And then I noticed the AC was running in the back room, and he never leaves it on when he leaves the house. And so after a week, I was getting concerned. I'm like, so I called his brother in another state. He's like, don't worry about it. Well, I went to the door. It was open. And I thought about going in. I was like, if something bad happens, how am I going to explain this? Well, good thing I didn't go in. I called the police. I got the 3rd degree. Why would you call the police? Is this your dad? I go, no. He goes, well, I'm buying his house and I meet with him every Monday. I'm just telling you, I think something's wrong. Well, sure enough, they opened the door. It was unlocked, and he was passed out dead right there, deceased with the phone locked in his hand. Now,
Wow.
can you imagine if I walked in that house? I would.
Yeah.
And now, by the way, I got detained for 4 hours on that one. And then
Wow.
the neighbor was the realtor that tried to buy it. She goes, "That's the ugly house guy. He killed him." I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, and so I had to unwind this, and I go, "Thank God I didn't enter the house without someone's permission." Because I might have had to lawyer up. It's like, so
Right.
guys, don't put yourself in really bad positions. As bad as you want the deal, you have to understand, you have to explain to people, neighbors, policemen, like all sorts of people, lawyers. And if it's not right in your head, common sense wise, don't do it. I'm scared to think if I entered that house, what would have happened to me? I might have been detained for a while and hire a lawyer. And I'm just like, but like, you know what, like Dante, like, but the best to me is like, I honestly, I was just concerned for the person. It wasn't
Right.
about money for me.
Right.
And it took us 6 months, not 6 months, about 4 months to sort out the legal paperwork. And I wound up still buying the house because I protected my interest in the property. And it was a good deal because he was raising money for his granddaughter. So I'm just telling you, like, watch out. I think, guys, here's the one thing so did they change the assignability of the contract at all?
No.
They changed the price?
No.
And did they change the date you have to close it by?
Nope.
There you go, Dante. Like, those are your 3 core things that go, I'm not negotiating on these 3. You can pick other stuff apart. So another trick, guys, when someone says, hey, I'm going to give it to my lawyer, I hate it. Like, trust me.
Yeah.
But I've learned over 20 years, if you fight it, you look like an idiot. You look like you're hiding something. So go, absolutely. The first thing I go, hey, what's your lawyer's name? And if they pause and they can't give it to you, they're lying to you. And understand the bluff. Once you understand the bluff, now you can navigate to it. Hey, if you just give me his phone number and email, I'll just send the contract over. I'll save you the hassle. I don't know it. So if they don't know it, it's just a stall tactic. So if you set up the upfront agreement, you can like avoid a lot of this stuff. But what I find is if they don't know who the lawyer is, how are they going to send it to the lawyer?
Right.
And here's what I do. So if they go, no, it's John Cohen, 555-4321, and here's his email address. I'm like, and I used to swallow. And I sit down, I says, great. Peggy, let's go over the contract real quick. I just want to make sure. What is it that you're concerned about? She goes, no, I'm good. So are you okay with the price? 100%. So if the lawyer suggests to change the price, you understand we have an agreement on price. So I always anchor the price, the assignability, and if I have like a 30-day inspection period or a 45-day close, I say, are you okay with those 3? So the only thing you want your lawyer to do is read the paperwork part of it. I'm fine with that. So if you do that, because here's what the lawyers do. They come back, they go, why would you sell this house for $55,000? You could get so much more for it. And they get in the seller's ear, and the seller's like, no, I talked to Dante. He said we agreed to the price. And most people understand we've committed to the price. So get the price and the terms off and let them go through and sort through this crap. If the lawyer was smart, he would have removed the assignability and tried to change the price on you.
Right.
So let them win the little battles they want to win. But you're here to win the war, dude.
Right.
So give up a battle. And so with most lawyers, it's all ego. Here, you can have this pen. Will that make you happy? Good. And then you take the cash. So I think you did an awesome job with it, man. Like, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's phenomenal. Just keep doing it over and over. Guys, if you don't do probates, Dante, how much time and energy you have to do in the probates?
Not much. I went to the courthouse and pulled it for like 45 minutes to an hour. I just sat there and just pulled them. And then
did you get help?
Yeah, from the court. I couldn't understand it a little bit, and then they helped me. And then after that, it was it wasn't much. And then I just went home and just called them. And that same day I got like 4 or 5 leads.
Yeah. So that is phenomenal, dude. I'm excited for you because how long you been wholesaling for?
Truthfully, this is like my 2nd or 3rd month. And the
Yeah.
crazy thing is, like, I learned about it 6 months ago and I paid $1,500 to a guru, and I
Yeah.
came and I didn't learn
No
nothing.
names. I don't want to do names. I'm trying to
Right.
I'm trying to be respectful. Listen, guys, everybody has a choice in life. Like if you pay, you pay. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've paid some embarrassing fees. I'm just like, and then like you find like, so here's how most guru courses go. Because I've been doing this a long time and I've bought a lot of them. And I'm gonna be honest with you, some of them you get some nuggets. But back when I bought, like we didn't have a choice. Like you couldn't get information from the internet. Like everything was so expensive. So, but the problem is a lot of times you buy it and then usually you buy it. And let me ask you, when you paid that $1,500 past getting over the money, did you feel really good about it?
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling. And then usually about 10 to 14 days later, you're like, uh-oh.
I didn't learn nothing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then you start pressing some hard questions and you start getting these softball answers. And here's what they're doing to you, just so you guys know. They're just trying to get you through the 30-day money back guarantee. And by the way, they'll all tell you, did you pay for it with a credit card?
Yeah.
So the reason they all offer a 30-day money back guarantee because they're forced to by the credit card company. So they try to take credit for it. I'm telling you, I don't want people charging back anything. This is not the purpose. If you ordered something, in my opinion, you need to live up to it.
Right.
But like learn from it, guys. I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to people that don't know what the hell they're doing. And they all, here's the one thing is they all represent themselves as they know more than God. Like, I don't know how else to, and like, I go, man, this person has all the answers to me, and you get it. And you feel so good. Like I just solved the problem. I'm moving forward. And about 2 to 3 weeks later, usually around 30 days, you're like, dude, I'm not like, you're not teaching me anything. What the hell's going on here? And then they say like, well, you got to step up to our mastermind level and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And you're like, crap, dude, I just want to get a deal or two and get like the ball rolling. And that's a majority of what you guys are going to get out there, because the reality is they're just lining their pocketbooks. And I would like them to go out for you guys and like really help you out. But I'm just like, that's unfortunately, if you give me 10 people, I bet you 9 out of the 10 will have the exact same story Dante does. And that's the whole purpose why I do freewholesaling.com. By the way, there's not a day I don't get a piece of mail from some guru or one of their assistants saying, can you please stop this? You are killing us.
Wow.
Guys, keep it going, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. And my goal, Dante, is you're like, why would you give this away for free? Number one, I make a crap load of money wholesaling. So like, if I know where the gold is, like, I'm just going to keep going there to get it. I'm telling you guys what I do in my area so you can guys use it. I tell you, you have to adapt it a little bit. All real estate is localized. So go out there and get it. And I don't sit here and do coaching calls all day. Why? Because they don't really like, it's just really hard. If I wanted to bring in 1,000 people, I have to work 60 hours a week doing that. And so if I tell you I'm not going to trade my time for money and then I go around and I do it, then that's what you get. So the whole point of wholesaling is to get freedom in your life. Money is just a byproduct. Money's great, but it does give you freedom to do what you want. It doesn't mean you don't have any problems in life. It just gives you options. So keep doing what you're doing. You're not the first person that bought into a guru. Just so you guys know, I went through 3 or 4 of them. And I'm just like, screw it. There's nothing about, there's something about putting in the hard work yourself, going down the courthouse, getting the leads, making the call, getting a contract together. By you doing that, Dante, were you able to put all the dots together?
Oh, yeah.
And it burns into your like neurology, and you're like, dude, I got this now. You're going to make mistakes stuff, but you're going to keep moving forward. And each deal, you're going to get a little bit better. And before you know it, that's how you make 20, 30,000. So I always like, in the first 2 years, your monthly income, so you guys know, it will be majorly erratic. Why? Because you're going to get a $20,000, $30,000 check, and then you're going to go 3 months without a check. And you'll be like, oh my God, I got to get my job back. Then you get another deal for 10 grand. Like, okay, keep going. And you just keep doing it. And after a while, you'd be like, 100 grand a month is pretty much a given for me. I would tell you guys, I went on a long journey to get there, a long journey. And my goal with you is to get your journey, cut it down 80% for you. So instead of taking 15 years to get there, you guys can get there in years 3, 4, and 5 with your eyes shut. Now, guys, you don't have to hit 100 grand. This isn't like, I don't care if you get freedom to do whatever you want with your family, with your time, and you can use money to help out friends and family. Just make 20, 30 grand a month. That's fine. Like it's not a race on like how much money you get. This has never been a contest about how much money can we make in wholesaling. I want you to make enough money to where you have so many options in your life. Like you just love doing this. And I've been doing this 21 years. You know what my biggest fear, Dante, was in wholesaling?
I'm not sure. Talking to people, maybe?
I was scared I was going to run out of deals.
Oh.
And I'm here on my 21th year. Like, I don't even think about it anymore. Like, it's just like, I was always like, okay, where's the next 3 deals coming by? Like, oh my God, what if I don't do another deal? How am I going to like pay the bills? And like,
right.
And I'm here 21 years later, guys. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you just got to do like Dante does. Get over to the courthouse, pull your leads, and just keep talking to people. And then don't freak out when people like throw you a curveball, because it's coming. You're going to get knuckleballs. You're going to get curveballs. You're going to get a fastball. And like, you just like stand at the plate and take your swings, guys. It's not that big of a deal. Right. So what's your history outside of wholesaling? What'd you do for a living?
I was actually a producer in music, and then I kind of like stepped away from that, and I came across real estate, and I just fell in love with it, started liking it a lot.
Yeah. And you could listen, when you get really good at wholesaling, like if you want to do like stuff that really makes you happy, because remember, it's freedom. Mm-hmm. So like, I love to go out on the boat and just like to me, the water is like a golf course to me. I like getting away from the cell phones and just like talking with people. Honestly, if people get seasick a lot, so it's hard. I would love to do contests, take you guys fishing and stuff, but like most of the time, I'll like come over to South Florida and do like a boat ride. But keep doing what you're doing, and just like, I got excited because I learned if I mastered wholesaling, I could go fishing any day I wanted. Right. And then the other thing is like, okay, can I spend time? And then when my son got of age, I'd like to tell you we've been wholesaling forever. Like we didn't touch wholesaling together till he was around 16 and a half. Wow. And then like we spent time, he got into wrestling, and I just spent 4 years, and we traveled everywhere, and it was just a lot of fun. So like when you have kids, I love my dad. I just didn't get a lot of time with him. Like I could go to every sporting event and just like be there for him and be in the moment. So it's not always a kid. Maybe it's your girl, maybe it's your guy, whatever it is. Just, dude, I love what you're doing, man. Just keep doing it, man. Like you have no idea like how much opportunity you got ahead of you. So just keep pushing away. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Dante, anything else?
That's it, man. I'll call back another day. Thanks.
Awesome, man. See you, man. You guys hear that, man? Like that's just freaking awesome, man. I love that. So, they're about 8. So I have a quick one up here. Let's see here. Says, hello, I have a question. I had a lady reach out to me today off of one of his ads. She is living in a home 3-2. They were behind about $8,000 according to prop stream. They owe $52,000 totally. The house value of $150,000. Her husband's incarcerated, and the name is the only one on the home. Any ideas for me? Listen, if you're incarcerated or not, you still have a legal right to sell a house. So what I would do is see if she still has a relationship with her husband. Depending on what state you're in, here's what I would do. I would talk to a local title company and see how you can get the deal done, meaning who can sign on behalf. This is the person incarcerated. Here's on the deed. Usually in most states, when you're married, let me see, she's living at home. Reach out to me. When you say husband, so in most states, marriage is recognized. Both people are on the deed unless it's a premarital asset or sometimes like a separate business. So I would find out how long she's been married for. Make sure she's still married on record. Most of this information you get from your title company. If your title company goes, listen, she can sign on behalf, he'll have to sign at the closing, or someone's going to have to do a mail away to the jailhouse. If you can get the right deal, it's a great deal. If you want to partner up with me, if you can get a good deal on this, you just listen, they're $8,000 behind and they only owe 52. So if they owe 52 or 60, a house for 150, there's plenty of money to make a deal here. So if you want, you can always submit it to sellmypaper.com and we can take a look at it. So it'll work. Shoot, that's not a bad problem to have. Not a bad problem at all to have. So, okay, let me move on here. Dante, you there?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What's going on? How can I help you out?
I just have a quick couple questions for you, man. I've been doing this for quite some time now, man. Like, I've been struggling a little bit in my area. I'm actually in Northern California, like Sacramento area.
Mm-hmm.
You happen to know where Stockton is? I'm sure you've heard of that.
I know it, but I don't know much about it. I know where it's located, but I don't have any demographics or anything on it.
I can't believe I'm talking to you right now. That's crazy. But yeah, I actually talked to somebody else about like calling people, and he's like, this is like one of the harder areas to actually like get sellers to agree. He's like, I get so many people telling me that sellers here are stubborn in Northern California. So what actually I did was I was like, you know what? I know I shouldn't give up, which I'm not. So what I did was I switched to virtual, and I watched like your whole course on virtual wholesaling. I've been through all through free wholesaling.
Yeah.
So I looked at like Columbus, or no, not Columbus, sorry, Pueblo, and now I'm on Dayton, Ohio. But my first question is, so every time I call the courthouse and the county, it's like in Pueblo, the website doesn't work, so I have to call, and they didn't give me any lists. And like, I don't really want to waste money on this, because then I'm out here doing driving for dollars and stuff. So what do you think I should do when I have to pay for leads, but I can't pay?
Okay. So when you say pay for leads, what are you talking about specifically?
When I say pay for leads, I mean, every time I call the courthouse, they're like, it's like $13 a page or 13 cents a page or 25 cents a page and stuff. But they never actually get back to me on the pages. And last time I got a tax roll actually for tax delinquencies, and she sent it to me, and then it was just a blank page.
Well, number one, you got to hold people accountable to do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
Because they are employees usually of like the city, the county, or the government. And they're just regular people just like you and me. So sometimes they just make mistakes. They send the wrong type of file. And you just got to follow. If like you're getting blank pages or stuff, you just got to like, hey, the fact that they gave you consent to send it to you and then they don't send the correct stuff is just a follow-up technique. So you can't let them off the hook. Go, hey, Peggy, like I got the email, but there's no attachment. Can you resend it with the attachment? And 9 times out of the guy screwed up, or you need this type of thing to open it. I've had like some crazy ones where you have to use special type of software to open stuff up.
Yeah.
But that number one is just a follow-up technique. Number two, you're using this for virtual investing, correct?
Correct.
So you already know up front you're going to get some resistance getting these lists, especially virtually, because it's very easy for people to reject you over the phone or email. It's actually the norm now. In person, most people don't want to reject you, and they find a way. As far as the cost, you're gonna have to take a shot at it and see if it works. Like I can't tell you how many lists I've bought over my career that honestly you might as well just shot it straight to the garbage can. So if you're getting the list straight from the source, you have a good shot. When you're getting it from a third party, this guy who like DMs you and says, hey, I got this special list, it's going to be great. Run. It's not there's no third party. So here's my theory. You either get it from PropStream, listarty.com, you can get it from Batch, ZachData.com, or you get it directly from the courthouse. If you get it from anyone else, guys, I'm telling you, you guys you want free data, go for it.
Okay.
Like then they go, well, Rick, your government lists are free. No, you're getting it directly from the manufacturer of the list. Okay. So I'm not worried about that free. There's a lot of talk out there about like free. Oh my God, this company has they'll give you all the free data. Like, trust me, you're just waiting to be whacked over the head. Because here's the problem. Even if you get a list of 10, 20, 30,000 people, understand you have to put all your time into it. You have to skip trace them and you have to call them. What if that list is crap?
Yeah.
You're screwed. You know how much you're going to smoke through $10,000 because you got a free list. I can't tell you how many free lists I got. I don't like other than government leads that I'm directly courted. I don't trust third-party sources. So when I switched over and did a lot with PropStream, I double dipped with ListSource for almost a year and a half because list source always worked for me. It worked for 12 years. And so when that service came up and the times changed, I didn't just trust the data. I'm like, ugh. So I've done this before, guys. I could go through an entire list. I'd probably get sued over it. I'm just telling you, you've got to make sure your data becomes a proven, reliable source. And the only way you can do that is doing your own deals and then getting confirmation from other investors. I hear a lot of stuff talk about these new services. Guys, freeze free, man. You better be very careful because it's a what we call a market manipulation. They get you in, they're going to whack your head on, they're going to whack you over the head. And guess what? You can't be very demanding when you get free data because it's free.
Yeah, that's true.
And I promise you, there is a catch. You're getting dated information or you're getting extremely bad information because data costs money. And the only way they can give it away free for so long is they're going to have to hook you on another service or you get some sort of premium service and that, or the data is just really bad. So you just got to do a cost analysis. So if it's 13 cents a page and it's 100 pages, that'll cost you what? 13 bucks? That's no big deal. It's when it costs you $500-$600, you got to start really paying attention. You're gonna have to take a little bit of risk on them. And I've done the same thing. It's like, are you kidding me? When I first started getting data, I had to go straight to the county. And guys, I swear, in St. Lucie County, which is my market, you can come here or not, I don't care. I'll take on anyone. I downloaded the entire database of everybody who owned a house in the county. I just went there for free. It wasn't even a thumb drive. It wasn't a floppy disk. It wasn't that long ago, but I forgot how they gave it to me on a CD. That's how we got them. And I took all 85,000 people, and then I hired a guy to help me sort the list. Now the list cost me about $150 to sort because I didn't know what I was doing. But now you fast forward today, they want money for everything. You just got to break down your county and find out what their policies are on getting the information. I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes 50 or $100, guys, it's worth it to get this data. But always make sure you're getting it directly from the source. So if you get it from the county or the courthouse, that's number one. Number two is going to be like a prop stream or a batch. Why? Because they're proven. They've done millions and millions of deals across the country, and they're very reputable. And they're companies that you can call people on the phone, they'll walk you through it, and you know the data's good. So if you're ever going to use a new list provider, make sure you're split testing it with a reliable source you've done before. And so I would lose, like, unless the report's like 3,000 pages, 13 cents, if there's a couple hundred pages, it's not that big of a deal. And you're going to have to take a little bit of risk on that one.
Okay. That makes sense.
A risk, within $50 or less is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And isn't it crazy, like in a age where everything is like digital, they can't just like email it to you on like a CSV file?
Yeah, it's funny.
So listen, and so if you're going to pay, try to ask them to make it super convenient for you, because them sending you paper documents, number one, it costs a lot to mail. And number two, you have to transpose all this stuff into like a CSV file. So try to get them to send it to you in like a CSV file or an XLS file. So it's like easy. Then you don't have to pay someone to convert it. So we have one county we get code violations from now. I still to this day have to convert a PDF file to get it into a Excel spreadsheet. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I have a good question about that.
Yeah, so, it costs me $100 every time I do it. So we only do it once a quarter on that county, but we get a couple deals off of it every time. So like I look at the cost analysis, I'm like, okay, it cost me $150, but our average deal is about 15 grand off of it. And we do two, that's 30 grand. Who gives a crap about the $150?
Yeah.
It's when you guys drop 10 grand on like this special software service, or I got 250,000 leads for free. I'm like, okay, good luck. I'm not putting the work in it. So that's like, if someone said, hey, here's 5 gallons of gas. I don't know where I got it from. I don't know where it's from, but it smells like gas. It looks like gas. And say you had a beautiful, like dually truck, $150,000 truck. Would you put that gas in your truck? The answer, you're not going to put it in there. So why you guys do not put bad data in your systems. I'm just telling you. I struggled with PropStream when it first came out because it was new on the block and I didn't trust them. And so what I did is every time I ran a list, and I ran at list source and I compared the numbers. And then I would look for specific addresses to see if it was on there. And It took me a year and a half. And honestly, I was still nervous after a year and a half. I just don't believe in like, if you switch to the free guy or the free gal, you better know what you're getting into, because I guarantee you're not getting the full truth on it. So like, but I've got a lot of data from like third parties, stuff like that. I always go to the county, the government list, and then the premium paid list providers, because I know they're not going out of business and I know their data is good. And the most important thing with data is timeliness. So guys, just so you know, old data is super cheap. I can buy old data all day long, pennies on the dollar. Fresh data, there's a cost to it. So you got to like, okay, if you're giving it free, what am I really getting? So I would take a risk on some of those lists. You're going to have to do it on virtual. There's no other way to do it, because unless you're going to show up in person, like what's your alternative?
That's true.
So sometimes I go 13 cents to go, how many pages is the average one? They're like, oh, 100. I'm like, okay, it's not that bad. So I remember bitching and crying about it once. I paid $25 for a code violation of a virtual market I did. I cried the entire way. We got 5 deals off of it. And I was just like, $25. I'm like, so
yeah.
I think you're making a good. Listen, the reality is like California, Florida, lots of parts of New York, Boston, stuff like that. They're challenging markets for like the low end, like wholesaler trying to get the average median price points. I get it.
Yeah.
Like it is. And so you have a wealthier, affluent clients that really just don't need to sell their house. They're not really like they have other financial means. So I almost think anybody lives in California, other than unless you were raised there and you grown there, like most people have to be affluent to move to California now. It's not cheap there. I know there's pockets it's more affordable, but you have an expensive state. Florida's coming right behind you, unfortunately. I think Florida's going to do exactly what California's done. I think we're just 10 years behind. We're going to have the same pricing, and I'm hoping to God we don't. I'm not going to get into politics, but like I think like you're stating, like people are leaving California in record amounts. Like I don't know how the state's going to be able to support their tax base. They keep losing millions of people. They're going to have to change their ways. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
So, what else you got?
Actually, I was wondering if you can give me like because I went through all the course, and I remember watching I think it was a live, and you had put up like one of those little red things on the bottom of your screen, and it showed all the attorney states where you need an attorney. Okay. And I was just curious if you can give me like a couple off the top of your head where you don't need an attorney, because like I said, I'm on budget.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it, dude, because it hurts my head. So it's like that means. So here's the challenge, guys. And like Florida in the Southeast, I know. Past that, I have to have some sort of like cheat sheet, because I can't memorize it's impossible. So everything's in there is in like freewholesaling.com. And if we're missing something, we're constantly updating it. But honestly, the omen's got to be on you guys to do that. So you should be, so especially if you go into a new virtual market outside of your state, number one, find a title company you can work with. Number two, research their local state laws and find out if you have a disclosure or non-disclosure state. And also you have to find out, so I'm not getting real technical on here and I don't want to talk above people's head. You also need to find out if you have a judicial or non-judicial state. And do you know what that means?
No.
It's just a way about court systems go through a foreclosure process when people don't pay on their mortgage. So like some states, so like in Florida, when you buy a house with a traditional mortgage with the bank, is the bank finances it and you hold the deed. Okay. But the weird thing is the state of Florida, if I finance a car, it's pretty much the same thing, right? The servicing loan thing, they hold the deed until I pay it off. Okay. So you have to decide which side of the line you're on. The only difference is when it comes to dealing with pre-foreclosures and foreclosures is a non-judicial state moves much faster because they already have the deed. They just have to prove their case in court. So in Florida, the average foreclosure takes anywhere from a year, sometimes 2 years. When the system's really cleaned out, maybe 9 months. In a non-judicial state, I bought properties in Georgia. I mean, dude, like they're taking them back in 3 or 4 months, like that. So that's another thing you kind of look at. But you want to get really familiar in the market you work in, the probates. the judicial system, and if it's a disclosure or non-disclosure, because sometimes you have big obstacles, and like the last thing you want to do is go in a virtual market, leaving your current market because you feel it's just so saturated. There's no way I can make this work. Like if you were in San Francisco, you wouldn't have a choice. And so you go to these other markets, you want to know everything up front so you can make an educated decision if you want to pursue that market. So look at the judicial as well as the disclosures, so you can kind of understand what you're dealing with. Okay. But I think you're making a good move on it, and don't trip over the nickels to get to the dollars. I've done that. Okay.
All right, man. That's perfect.
Okay, man. I'll see you
appreciate
later. Awesome. Justin, you there?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Let's talk, man. What's going on?
So I found out. I found out about wholesaling about October, November. I've spoken to Zach a couple times. You know, he told me I've been watching Pulling Government Lists, the probates. I actually been on a couple in-person visits. Pretty cool. I've been taking your advice, getting 1% better every day, but I just haven't closed the deal yet. So what I did was connect with, a couple wholesalers in my area, and somebody that I met with, I went to his office. He has a whole operation like you guys have, BAs and all that. And I told him my situation. We chatted. He gave me advice, and then I left. And later that night, he had shot me a text asking if I was interested in becoming, an acquisition manager for him. So I just want to get your thoughts on that, if it's worth.
So let me ask you, how'd you connect with this person?
So I found him on YouTube because he makes, YouTube videos, and then I had joined his Facebook group, and then I had joined. He had a Zoom meeting that morning, so I joined, and I'm thinking he's from
Do me a favor. I don't want you to say any names, but in the private chat, can you just tell me who it is? I'm just trying to help you out best I can.
He's not a big YouTuber. It's not like somebody
So are there any? Does he or she sell a course? Yeah,
no, he's not. He's not a course seller. No,
I just don't want to suck you in on that. So it's a tale of two tapes with that. So I will tell you, hiring acquisitions managers, because we do this all time, full time, it's not a lightly made decision for both parties, by the way, because you got to make sure if you were considering an acquisition manager, number one is I need to know what kind of volume and marketing you guys are doing. So that's the first thing you have to ask them, because here's the reality, just so you understand this, Justin. If he or she doesn't do enough marketing, they're never going to be able to support your position. This is the number one problem you see in the acquisition manager mode. Because if they don't do an incredible volume of marketing, it's tough. Okay? We have this all the time. Number two, then you got to decide, then the other challenging part is, are they going to support you and train you and support you? And it's easier said than done.
He wants to. He trains all his acquisition managers. He says.
So how many acquisitions managers does he have?
2, I believe, and he's hiring more.
So just so you know, I'm just going to give you some rough numbers, because people will tell you what they want to hear. On average, for me to support one acquisitions manager, you typically have to in my markets, I've spent about 10 grand a month. Dude, I have to keep them busy. You have to keep them super busy. So you got it. You could start, you want to reverse engineer some of the numbers, because a lot of people hire acquisitions managers. You know why?
Why?
Somebody on YouTube told them to do it. So I'm here to tell you, is I only have 2 acquisitions manager, and I do a pretty large business, because I've had 4 or 5. They starve. So a lot of people, here's what they do. You ready for this? They'll hire 4 acquisitions manager and find the superstar in there and let you guys kill each other. And I'm just telling you, number 2 is you know what the average tendency of an acquisitions manager is in this business? By the way, no one's going to share you this number.
What's that?
It's less than 6 months. A good one makes it 9 months.
Interesting.
So it's I'm just telling you now. I will tell you, let me give you the positive side. If you go in there and he or she actually does the business and they do well with it, it would be a good deal because you could learn the business. But like, honestly, I would never bring somebody in my business that wants to be an independent wholesaler because I know the handwriting's on the wall. Now, I never want to hold people back, but I don't want to spend. So it's a 3-month commitment just to get an acquisitions manager profitable. End of story. It takes experience. By the 6th month, they're usually doing very well. And usually by month 9, they're looking to go out and do their own wholesaling business. I probably have 10 wholesalers you guys all know all over the internet. They've all worked as acquisitions managers for me. I don't fault them for it. I'm fine with it. I'm just telling you, that's what you do. So I look for acquisitions managers that like want to stay in the role and like don't have that independent entrepreneur mind, because the amount of training I have to do is exhausting. It's very expensive and it's a huge commitment. So if you can get in that role and learn, and he's okay with you flapping your wings, so you do not want to get a confrontation with the investor and find out he never ever wanted you to leave that position. So, and then find out what the compensation plan is and figure out how to do it. And just so you know, a good company, when they hire an acquisitions managers, will give them a base salary because there is a 90-day training period. You understand that? Like, if you're going to go strictly off commission, make sure you have a high commission structure to compensate you. Because if it takes you 3 months to get a deal and you work 10, 15, 20 hours a week, it gets expensive because you got bills to pay too. So I'm kind of giving you both sides of the story. It's just, I've been in this battle for a long time, and I'm here to tell you, most of you guys, when you start out, you don't need acquisition managers. You got to go out and take deals down yourself. And then when somebody wants to hire an acquisitions manager, the only thing I'm looking, if you're going to hire me as an acquisition manager, number one, are you okay if I fly my wings on it? Are you going to go crazy? And number two, how many deals are you guys processing a month? AKA, how much are you spending on marketing? And if they're spending like $1,000 or $2,000, like you're a dead man walking. It's too hard.
He has 4 like lead generation, like what do you call those? So he has the cold callers, the lead managers, and an acquisition. So he told me he pays like $1,000 for each VA. I don't know if that's true or not, but
yeah, just so you know, VAs, they'll help you process leads and do everything. Like, just do your homework on it and make sure it's a good fit for you and a good fit for him. And it's like a catch-22. I'd like to see you go on your own and do it. And
well, yeah, that's what I'm like. My confusion is, because do I, work with him and learn the business, or should I just continue, doing what I'm doing and get my own deal?
So does he do it? So you guys doing this virtually? Is it in a local market?
Local market. He's not too far from me.
Yeah,
I've been to.
So I'm just telling you, a lot of people, like, they're not big fans of hiring people locally, train them their entire business, and then have them leave their business and be their competitor. So just see how they talk about it and look at the structure. So most acquisitions people are structured on a like set salary, and then they get bonuses for each deal they do. And then after 90 days, they're pretty much straight on commission. So they do like a draw in the first 90 days. So I don't know, just check out the reputation. It's a personal decision. If it works, it could wind up being wonderful for you, especially doing the local market. But
yeah, and that's another thing too, because in my market, I was told, I'm in the New England market, that there's less deals, but the spreads are higher. That was what I was told. I don't know if it's true or not, or.
So what type of market was it again?
Well, I'm in Rhode Island. He's in Massachusetts. Okay. They're right there. It's pretty much like the same thing. Yeah.
Listen, just do your homework, and like, you have enough ins and outs. You understand the business, and just some people, like, I have people in my company make a ton of money and they're very happy, and I'm happy with them. And some other people always want to be out on their own. And like I tell people, if you want to be out on your own from the get-go, I'm probably not the best guy to work with. And I let them know up front. And that's it. But I got a lot of people that, the typical acquisition manager is 6 to 9 months, guys. Everyone tells you it's, oh, you're hiring someone to fit. It's not. It's complete BS. I'm just telling you, it's hard to get quality people. It's even harder to get them stay because most people don't support and train their stuff. But the reality is most of you guys are getting started out. You are the acquisitions manager. I was my own acquisition manager for the first 7 years. And honestly, it was a mistake, but it actually benefits me because I can help explain it better to you guys. So you're just going to have to make a personal decision on it. The only time I ever got in problems when I hired people, acquisition managers, similar guys like you, is sometimes they go off and do their own deals, and then we had issues. I'm like, hey, listen, I saw a contract for this. I'm like, they're like, oh, no, that's not from your marketing. I'm like, listen, we signed a contract. I told you up front, unless you give me an address of a property up front before you sign a contract, I'm not, and I get very, like, you can't like do gray area, because what happens is you get old leads that cycle through, and you need to know who's getting paid on what. So I always told them, if you have a deal you're working on, you have to tell me before I find out about it. If I find out about it, I'll assume you're stealing from me. And that's the only time I ever gotten a problem with, like, on that one, because they never ever told me. They'd always tell me after the fact. I go, well, you worked on that like 2 years ago, and the guy called me from something 2 years ago. I go, my phones, my marketing, all my training, all my business. Don't be greedy, be fair. And so just sit down and ask really hard questions, and don't assume everything's told to you is the truth. And then if you guys can come to an agreement and you're okay with it, and you can learn and grow for it, great. If not, figure out how to do the business without them and run them over. I mean, those are your options with it. So, like, you might think, hey, well, this will get me more training and it will, put me in a much faster projectile. But, sometimes it backfires on people because you let everybody else do the work and you're just answering the phones. After a while, you're not really learning anything more other than learning how to talk to people, which why most people wind up in that job for 6 to 9 months, and then they go out and they do other things, or they do their own wholesaling business. So you got to find out what fits best for you, and you'll have to make that decision. As long as you're confident in the person and you understand what you're getting into, then if you can leave on your own terms, you really got like nothing to lose. But just make sure that's what you want.
Got it. Yeah, I'll do my homework.
Most people never ask the people like hard questions, and that's where they get in big trouble. Yeah, you got to make sure, like, you want them burying you in leads, because that's how you make the most money.
Well, yeah, it's a full-time position, so I'd be calling. He said from like 10 to 6.
Yeah.
So
it's got to be your choice. I'm not in your shoes, so you have to decide if that's what you want to do and that's the path you want to take. But listen, I always like it when you work for someone, you got to make a commitment to people, unless they show otherwise. Like, if you get there, there's no leads and there's no support and training, then obviously you're going to bail. So make a decision best for you, but ask as many questions before you get in a relationship, because most people don't ask questions and they struggle why things don't work out in life. You want to understand that, okay?
Got it. So when I see him again, what's like the top questions I should ask him for sure?
How much are you spending on marketing?
Yep.
How many leads do you guys process in a month? And what's the typical pay plan? What can I understand? Is there a base salary plus commission? You understand what a draw is, right?
Withdraw?
A draw?
No, I don't. Like,
so a draw schedule is like this. Okay. So here's what I'm just gonna give you my pay plan. My acquisitions people get $2,000 a month. Why? Because in the first 90 days, most of them suck. Like, you have to go through a training period, just like everybody on this live is going through. Then once they start closing deals, so most people get between 10 and 20% are like usually the highest commissions. 15 is the average. Okay. So if I do a deal and say the deal made 20 grand, typical in our business, right? So 20 grand, and say you got a 15% commission on that, you got $3,000. Hey, Justin, I gave you $2,000 already, so I'm going to give you $1,000 off your commission. So the $2,000 is what they call a draw. It just prepaid commissions. And then when you get the deal closed, you were entitled to the $3,000. I already gave you $2,000, so you get $1,000. And usually that's how you do it the first 90 days. Why? Because I've done this a long time, and I'm just telling you, when you bring people in on commissions 100%, you put a lot of pressure on really bad deals in the beginning, and they make really bad decisions, and it's not good for everybody involved. Every now and then you get a superstar. But by the way, I don't like superstars in acquisitions. You know why? Because they're just like that. You ever have a ball player? It doesn't matter if it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. You ever had that person is so good, but they feel like they don't have to do the practice. They don't have to answer it anymore. And they're such a pain in the ass and they like rock the entire team. That's what you get with superstars. You get erratic behavior and you get a bunch of income and then you get disasters afterward. I'd rather have someone who gets 1% better each day as an acquisitions person. So find out what works with you. I gave you enough questions to ask, and just ask hard questions and watch the response to them and take note to it, because I get none of these people ever ask questions. So, and you want to understand what you're getting into, Justin, because if it doesn't live up to you, you don't want to waste time.
Yeah,
But
that's
give it
like
a
my
shot.
biggest thing. I don't want to waste any time.
Yeah, well, then go take the questions I did and ask some additional questions. And I can tell you probably one of the best ways to find out someone that either worked for him in the past or someone's working for him now, and that will tell you everything you want to know, but that's not as easy to do as it sounds. So
Got it. All righty.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
Justin.
think that was all.
I'll talk to you later. Okay. Let me see here. So guys, if you want to do a deal with me and Zach, you can do sellmypaper.com. I got a couple of questions I want to answer here. Kellen says, hey, Rick, do you condition the seller of a property to let the people walk the property after you have signed the contract? Do you condition the seller of a property to... Not really. Do I condition them like the upfront agreement? No, but once again, you have to read your seller. Are they easy or are they difficult? And you have to be aware of that. If you go back to the beginning of this live, I was speaking to a gentleman and the lawyer wanted to like manipulate how they can show and advertise the property. And they basically said, you just need to get the seller's permission. So as long as you honor what your seller has agreed to, and by the way, guys, whatever you put in writing, your seller listens to the verbal more than they do you put on paper. So make sure your written contract always matches the verbal one. So, and then I have on here, Andrew says, I don't understand how serious is the recession. How will it affect everyone in wholesaling and real estate? The beauty of wholesaling is it's kind of recession proof, meaning we buy properties for discounts today. Speculators buy discounts for tomorrow and in the future. So if you buy on discounts today, if the market's extreme high, which we just went through the highest run up we ever had in history, the craziest price is I've never made so much money in my life. And now we're going a little bit on the downside and it's equally the same for me. So it changes things in wholesaling, but that's good for us because change is how we make money. But remember, wholesaling is about buying for the discounts today. So it's important you guys know that. So guys, if you want to submit your deals, go to sellmypaper.com. Long as you put all the information we asked for and you follow the rules exactly, you will get a response for us. And please make sure if you like this content, you smash that like button. And guys, make sure you subscribe to this channel. A lot of you guys are on Flip with Rick, and I appreciate you in there. It means that collaborate on there. But this is my personal channel, and we're going to mix it up a little bit. We talk about everything, kind of real estate, people, and have fun. So if you guys enjoy me, make sure you're subscribed. It helps me get information to you guys faster. So guys, we'll be back on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Zach will be on here. We usually do like cold calling. If you want to catch some live stuff and stuff like that, hop on there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And guys, have a